Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back on my series on Saturn transits 2017. And welcome to this video. Happy New Year 2017 to you. As we all know that Saturn is transiting from the zodiac sign of Scorpio into the zodiac sign of Sagittarius on 26th of January 2017. It's just around the corner, and it's a very important transit, not because generally Saturn transit is for 2.5 years, but this time the impact is going to be felt for more than 2.5 years. It will be felt for about 3 years. And why? Because once Saturn transits from the zodiac sign of Scorpio into Sagittarius on January the 26th, it'll go back and forth from the zodiac sign of Scorpio into Sagittarius, and then come back to Scorpio, and then go back to Sagittarius. I'm not going to give you dates and confuse you on that, but it will do that several times. And finally, when Saturn transits from Sagittarius into Capricorn, it'll be January of 2020. So this is a period of 3 years, not 2.5 years. Now, that doesn't mean that once Saturn comes back into Scorpio from Sagittarius, the effects are going to be the same as it were in Sagittarius. No, the effects are going to be as it were in Scorpio itself. But overall impact of the Saturn transit will be 3 years, and that's what makes this Saturn extremely important for us. As you can see on the screen, the number 8 is mentioned on the ascendant or the first house or the Lagna. So today we'll be talking about the moon sign of Scorpio, but do not get confused by this number 8, which is mentioned, or which you can see on the screen as mentioned on the Lagna, because we are not considering transits from the Lagna or the first house or the ascendant. We are considering transits from the moon sign. So today's discussion, or today's topic of discussion, is going to be what impact will people have whose moon sign is Scorpio. So look at your natal birth chart, and in case where moon is placed at the time of the birth is in the zodiac sign of Scorpio, or where it's mentioned number 8, then this video is for you. In case your ascendant is 8, in case your Lagna or ascendant or the first house says 8, and there is no moon, there's no planet or moon placed there, this video is not for you, because Gochara, or transits as it's called, should be considered as per the ancient scriptures from the moon sign and not from the ascendant. However, there are certain scriptures who give some description about what happens when you consider transits from the ascendant of the first house, but the rules are completely different, so we're not discussing that. Please consider this video only for the moon sign of Scorpio, meaning which, in case your natal moon is placed in the zodiac sign of Scorpio, or where number 8 is written, that's what we are considering. So how will it going to impact people with the moon sign of Scorpio? That's the discussion today. And as you can see the arrow, it is going to be moving to the second house from the natal moon. Okay, now we also know that there is a very dreaded or inauspicious period which is called a Sati, or the inauspicious 7.5 years period, which starts when Saturn transits into the 12th from the moon, then moves into on top of the moon, meaning which the moon sign, and then the second from the moon. So people with the moon sign of Scorpio are still within that dreaded or inauspicious Sati, or the inauspicious 7.5 years period. But as you can see on the screen, this is going to be the last phase. The first phase of the Sati of the 7.5 years inauspicious period for the moon sign of Scorpio started when Saturn transited into the zodiac sign of Libra. Then from the zodiac sign of Libra, it moved into the zodiac sign of Scorpio for 2.5 years. And then now on January the 26th, Saturn is going to be transiting the second house from the moon sign of Scorpio for Scorpio moon sign people. So you're still under, unfortunately, you're still under that dreaded, that inauspicious 7.5 years period. So I do not have great news for you. However, the relief is that slowly and gradually, it is in the second house from moon. You've suffered the last 5 years when Saturn was transiting in the zodiac sign of Libra, and then it moved into Scorpio. You did suffer in the last 5 years, and this is the final 2.5 years of suffering, as you can see. Of course, like I mentioned, the impact may be felt for 3 years until January of 2020, but the relief is that you're in your last phase of this Sade Sati, or 7.5 years period. So how will it impact you this time in this last phase of 2.5 years period for Scorpio moon sign people? Is that it's going to be affecting your finances in a very negative fashion. It is going to be adversely affecting your finances, your family, your relationship with your children, your relatives, your cousins, even your wife and spouse. And you may get into some kind of a situation where you may have to use a part of your saving towards expenditure. So the incomes, and when you compare your income versus expenditures, the expenditures will be more than your income, meaning which you will have to dig into your savings during this last 2.5 years period of time. Once again, not the best time for romances or getting married. Once again, not the best time to get into any kind of a business partnership. This is not the best time to be in. And also the health of that person who is the moon sign of Scorpio is going to be adversely affected. So be extremely careful. How do you do that? I mean, first, if it's going to be affecting your family and relationship with your family members, try to be very cordial with them. Try to not get into a major confrontation with your children, your spouse, your relatives, your cousins, and do not get into a new business venture. Do not try to stay in the same job. Do not try to jump jobs for a better career perspective. Just wait a few more years, maybe a couple of more years, and start looking around. And when Saturn moves into Capricorn finally in January 2020, that's the time when you should be looking for other business opportunities or other career moves, if it comes to a job change or a career change. Also, try to take good care of your health, yoga, pranayama, try to eat well, try to do not get into, heavy drinking or unhealthy foods, fried foods. Try to avoid, because this is a time where you have to be extremely, extremely careful as far as your health is concerned as well. And career, I've already discussed with you, is going to, take a back seat. You may get into a confrontation with your bosses if you're in a job. So try to, avoid it. Even if you're being ignored in the job space, do not confront people, your colleagues, your bosses. Just take a back seat for a couple more years and try to deal with it accordingly. Now, everything is not bad, like I've already mentioned in my earlier videos, in case the Saturn transit. Of course, Saturn transit is a very important transit, and we all fear because it's a major malefic and it stays in one zodiac sign for a very, very long period of time. But look at other transits as well of the benefics, like Jupiter, like Venus. Venus doesn't stay in one zodiac for a long time, but Jupiter generally stays, for approximately a year or so in one zodiac sign. So try to look at other transit, how they're affecting you, and in case the other benefics, other transits are favorable for you, then this Sade Sati's effect, this 7.5 years effect, this last portion of the 7.5 years Saturn transit may not affect you that much in a negative fashion. Secondly, look at your dashas, which are the operating periods of the planets, in case those dashas are favorable for you. which there's a good possibility. Generally, I've seen when the Sade Satis, or the 7.5 years or 2.5 years, when they come in your life and try to trouble you, the dashas generally, kind of neutralize it, because generally I've seen the dashas would be favorable for you, but not always, not necessarily. So, there are chances that the dashas also may be negative, then it's a double negative impact. But generally, like I said, God has made some kind of a, relief provision for us, that when the transits are bad, the dashas come out to be good, and when the dashas are bad, then the transits come out to be good. So they kind of try to balance each other. So hopefully, if your dashas are favorable for you, so then many of these adverse effects of this Saturn 7.5 period, the last phase, are going to be neutralized to a great extent. But yes, definitely do not take any risks, do not get into any major confrontation, do not plan any major pilgrimages or voyages or vacations or long distance travels. Try to just take a back seat in your career, your profession. As far as relationship with the other family members are concerned, take good care of your health, and you should be fine. And as far as remedies are concerned, I do not want to give you any specific general remedies, because a lot of astrologers do that. They give general remedies, and those general remedies do not work for everybody. So as far as remedies are concerned, you have to contact, in case you are interested, then contact a good qualified Vedic astrologer or scholar and get your chart analyzed, and then based on your chart, get remedies done. So hopefully you did enjoy this video on Saturn transit 2017 for Scorpio moon sign people. And in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology, or a continuation of my Saturn transits 2017 in my next session very soon. Goodbye.